How are you today? Thank you for being on Records of My Life.
Oh, thank you for having me again. I'm having a very good day.
Congratulate your record. I know it just dropped in the last couple of months. What happened to the heart? Tell us a lot about it, about the inspirations, who you worked on it with, and collaborators, where, when.
Um, well, I've been working on it for around 2 years, before I released it. It came to me with a huge wave. Um, Actually, it's the most intense album I've ever written, which made it a very defining experience of my life. I think I just really thought about, that we are all wounded people in a wounded world, trying to feel better about ourselves and failing to kind of reach our hands out there and help the people that needs us, because this is a very strange time to be alive. And I think I just thought about apathy. I thought about anatomy, the heart, how important we find it, what value we put into the heart. It used to be like the center of intention and intuition and emotion. And now being emotional is kind of considered a weakness in the way we rule the world, at least. I asked myself the question, what happened to the heart? And when did we kind of stop valuing its abilities and looking up to people who honored the values of the heart? And yeah, that's where the title came from, What Happened to the Heart, which is a question that I found really important to ask.
Very fitting and very beautiful. And this, I was going to ask you this question. I don't want to downplay kind of what you're saying, but there's a lot of artists out there that have written in the past, like Bob Dylan and like the Clash, and very, very important groups. And I reference these artists because they kind of sent a message out there. They were trying to get people to tune in and get active. Not exactly kind of like in the tune in, tune out old hippie sense, but in the do you know what I mean? Be conscious and know what's going on. Are there a couple of records for you that kind of that you respect in that regard, or artists that?
Yes, very much so. And just who you mentioned, I think when I was young and started writing, Bob Dylan really taught me that you can be political, but with even humor, be political with understanding, and you can be political without being radical, or you can instead of scaring people away with explaining your political views in art, you can do it in a way that kind of intrigues people and invites them in, because I feel like it's up to music and art a lot in these times to kind of fuel people together rather than dividing them like everything else really does, because everything else in the world seems to benefit from people fearing each other and disagreeing, because nothing makes us more passionate, I guess, than fear and hatred. But yeah, Bob Dylan have really taught me that, and Leonard Cohen as well. He taught me to be a storyteller, and Joni Mitchell as well. She has an interesting approach to speaking about the world and speaking about, but in like a spiritual, very beautiful, very metaphorical way, which I also enjoy, because then you have to hunt more to figure out what image she's trying to paint for you.
Those are the beauty of those writers. Are they want you to, they're not going to usually tell you, like, if you ask Bob Dylan what's that song about, he's going to look at you probably know, like, he's going to look at you and say, well, that's kind of for you to give you a snug answer, right, and tell you to figure it out on your own. Maybe not Leonard Cohen, because he's he was a nicer, gentler fellow. But can you give us a couple of record titles from a record title from each of those artists?
I recently really rediscovered, is it Song to a Seabird by Joni Mitchell? It's the album with the song Cactus Tree on it, which is an absolutely beautiful song. And this record is inspiring me right now, which is interesting because it's happening as we speak. I'm just now listening to it and inviting it in under my skin, and it's an absolutely wonderful experience because it's been a long time since I listened to something, a piece of work like that. I think the first album I ever bought on my own, with my own money, was Blonde on Blonde by Bob Dylan. So that album has a very important part. Yeah, it lives in here in a way because it was a very important part of me kind of discovering music on my own and realizing that an album is like a book and it's thought through and it's connected. And this album was the first album I kind of listened to throughout and tried to realize how even the songs speak together and how you cannot really try to understand what he's trying to say without piecing it all together into one whole complete message, which was a really exciting experience, which I use a lot when I write albums because I like when it's all like a big world and a big story, which is very nice.
That's amazing for a youngster to buy for your first record to buy Plug. It's a pretty cerebral record for a young person. I'm assuming you're pretty young when you bought it, and that kind of leads into my next question, because you started writing very young music. And what were some other records that were inspiring you to write at such a young age?
I think Amarantine by Enya really taught me how I could infuse peace and quiet into music, because I love silence. I don't really like listening to music so much. I almost never do it. And I didn't really like it when I was younger either. I was very used to silence. It's my favorite music. But listening to Enya taught me a lot about that you can infuse calm and silence and space into music, which really inspired me in the way I produce and the way I use my voice in my songs, which was very cool. Because I didn't know that you can do that before I kind of heard her.
I don't know if you played Royal Albert Hall yet. I know you have a show, which is an amazing. Did you play the show at Royal Albert? This is a two-part question. Did you have it? Was it half? Sorry, I can't remember, but it happened?
I played it 4 days ago.
Wow. Okay, so I want to ask you two questions. What is your favorite? Do you have a favorite record from Royal Albert Hall, or a performance? That's number one. And a record you'd like to listen to live in its entirety. And congratulations on playing that venue. That's a great honor.
Thank you. It was really an honor. It felt, even though it's so big, it felt like all the people were sitting here. And I could...
That means you conquered the crowd.
Yes, it felt like so close. I loved it. It was the most beautiful thing. My favorite performance there, it must be... I've really enjoyed some of the proms. I love when there's classical music there. I love when Hans Zimmer has been there. I loved even Anna, the organ player. She played with me in my show there, and she's a brilliant organist, and she had a show there, which was amazing. Joni Mitchell, once again, that's quite incredible. And I think there's been so many beautiful souls, so many people have been touched in that room, and you can really feel it when you're there. There is something heightened about it, which is, it tickles my brain to think about. It's wonderful. And a live album I really enjoyed. I really like the live, like Fleetwood Mac's live album, and they play the song Go Your Own Way and The Chain, and so many of their classics. And this album we have had on so much in our family, and it reminds me so much of my family, my parents, and I love live versions of albums. it's a wonder that I haven't made one myself yet, because I love it so much to listen to, because there's an essence there that can only be captured with an audience there, because an audience emphasizes the music, because you're actually singing to someone. There's like a whole new purpose with your whole performance, and audiences really make music better. So I should make one. I will make one day. But yeah, a Fleetwood Mac live album never goes wrong with this girl.
One more quick question and we'll get on to the speed round. I'll let you get on with your evening. Thank you again for being on Records in My Life. We mentioned a couple of Canadian artists over. I like to ask all our guests, because we're a Canadian show. Records in My Life is a Canadian show. Favorite Canadian record?
Right now, obviously, except for Leonard Cohen, which can't even, nothing in the whole world for me can give me what he has given me and still gives me. May he rest in peace, absolute beautiful, magical soul. But an artist I've recently fallen completely in love with from Canada is called Leif Vollebæk. It's interesting because Leif is also a Norwegian name. So it's just interesting with this Canadian artist with this completely Norwegian name. And we've talked a bit, and he's a beautiful soul. And he sings like someone who's lived on this world many times, which I adore. One of my favorite songs by him is called it's called Elegy, from the album Twin Solitude. But now his newest album, Twin Ways, is just so warm. It's such a warm album, which I find so refreshing. Because the music I make can be so cold and so sometimes, and this is just like sitting around a fire, and it's warm and beautiful with lots of intimate moments, and it's a perfect album to put on in the evening in your home. If you need some peace and quiet and some beauty, I would listen to that, because it's an absolutely wonderful album.
On to the speed round, and then we'll let you go. Some fun questions. Weed,
Yes.
water, or wine to listen to your favorite record or to write?
Wine.
Coffee with an artist, alive or dead?
Oh, there must be a coffee with Leonard Cohen. And I guess a cigarette.
Record of your high school years?
Record of my high school years. 1992 to 2012 by The Underworld.
Words of wisdom for your fans and our audience?
I can feel that the world is a bit hurt right now, and that a lot of people struggle with knowing how to help and what to do, and whether to believe in the future or mankind or not, because it's kind of easy to become nihilistic or just pessimistic when it looks like everything is going to shit around you. So I think I would just tell people to not avoid pain or the uncomfortable that they feel inside or see around them, because it's all a part of the world and of us, and I hope we never become apathic, because we are so meant to feel. And I think that's what I want to say for now.